Weber Shandwick is a McCann Erickson company that does PR for them in the general market, and then I was part of the team that was working on Hispanic. But just to give you a really quick idea of how they saw it, they started spending about 60-40, which was 60 paid media, 40% in earned media efforts. When they renewed, that percentage had basically inverted. 60 earned media and 40 paid media. We were talking about how is it that, you know, that generation of 17, 18, and 19-year-olds that have, since they were born, have been part of this media-rich environment and exploded, always sold that through, you know, television, internet, and what have you, what messages they really believed from the Army. It's like the Army is going to be a great experience for you, or is talking to a soldier in Germany that joined the Army 2 years ago via a live web chat where there's an unfiltered conversation between a potential recruit and the soldier for about 15 minutes, and he gets to ask questions and the soldier answer. What has more value to the recruit, and what is the potential recruit going to believe more? The Army's a great career, a great experience, be all you can be. That's not the motto today. And it's an army of one. And then be all you can be, army of one, and then it went to Army Strong, which is the positioning that McCann gave it. What are they going to believe more? And so you have to really look at credibility and what your audience is believing. So
I think Gustavo is also speaking to something that is monumental to me, and that is generational difference. Because even when you talk about multicultural, and this is something that I find with the younger demos, what I see developing is that segmentation approach means less. Okay, you guys understand what I mean by saying that? So there, amongst the younger demos, there's an issue of, I'm going to filter through the BS real quick. So you can't just create a message and sell it to me, right? It has to be from a place of total credibility, or I can easily find out more about it through this device. Okay, so you have that issue, but then in terms of the multicultural aspect and the younger demos, you have more of a mainstreaming that cross-culturalism that is happening. Some people are going to argue that yes, you know, amongst the younger demos, multicultural still means a lot in terms of like creating these segmented marketing approaches. But I push back a little bit on that, because for younger demos, it's more about the commonalities, you know, in terms of like music culture, right? If like I'm someone who takes notes of trends. And I'm noticing this amazing trend that's developing, even as it regards to music. Like the whole hip hop thing is over. It's done. So if you think you're going to reach African American kids by putting some hip hop in your ad, then you already played. Because really the music that's emerging is more of a melting pot. It's a pop techno type of music. So amongst the younger demos, this is a movement that's happening where they don't really want you to hit them hard with cultural cues. Does that make sense? But then for someone like my mom, she's all about, you know, do they have African American in the ad, or are they speaking to me, my culture? You know, it's important to her. So the boomers, they still want those, you know, hardcore cultural cues to be put into their outreach. But for the younger generation, there's this huge shift in generation. I just wanted to speak to that.
Well, and can I take off to what you said? Can we go down 2 slides on this one? Because what you've just said, I think, is exact. If you're going to take a picture of the Hispanic, one more. I'm sorry. Yes, and click it and click it. Okay. So if you're going to take a picture of Hispanics in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and again talking about acculturation and who you're marketing with, who you're marketing to, and you know the difference between your mom and the more urban sort of generation. In the Hispanic, it's exactly the same. And connecting it to 2 clients that we've had that I worked with locally here. If you're Aldi and you're competing against a Walmart and you're competing against you know, a low price, a dollar store, for example, and you're opening stores in Dallas, and really your audience is really the couple there. You know, the two recent immigrants that just arrived, maybe from Mexico, 82% chance that it's from Mexico, 7% chance that it's from El Salvador here to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. How is it that you're going to market them as opposed to somebody like Verizon? Verizon Wireless that's been there for a long time talking to Hispanics and who see these two as really their target. In what language and what vehicle are you going to use? What kind of music? And are you going to use mobile, or are you going to engage them through a Facebook like page? And if you take a picture of the U.S. Hispanic market as it is today, not only in Dallas-Fort Worth, but across the country, take that sort of picture with you, that image of the three kinds of different segments, important segments that there are, and they're different in the language that they speak at home, what they tilt to in terms of Spanish or English, what media they consume. And I can tell you that working at Telemundo, we are trying to get to this new American Hispanic really hard. And, you know, the novellas that we're producing and...
Is Mundo's part of the strategy?
Mundo's is part of the strategy, certainly. The novellas that we're producing, one that had huge hit in this market here last year, we are replaying again in Mundo's, which is an all-English Hispanic network owned by NBC Universal, but with subtitles in English to try to engage these guys right here or this guy right here, you know. So that's, you know, if you're going to take an image or a picture of Hispanics in the U.S. today, that's probably a pretty useful picture to take.
You're running it again in English because the new American Hispanic may not know Spanish, is what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
And it may not be as fluent in it as well. I have another stat there that says that 80% of U.S. Hispanic homes and 80% of U.S. Hispanic homes, Spanish is spoken, whether it be by parents or whether it be by the grandmother who's also living in the home. And that doesn't necessarily mean that these guys are speaking it. They can understand it, and they might sit with their parents to watch an all-Spanish novela, but, you know, they go to school or now they go and talk to their friends, and it will be English. And that's where the growth is, really. How is it that we're going to engage with them long term? Yeah.
I mean, if you break down the U.S. Census data, you'll see that one of the fastest growing groups is U.S. born Hispanic. Am I wrong? So that presents a whole new opportunity, because a lot of what I see from the C-suite, the CMOs, and the VPs, a lot of them don't understand this. They still think if I'm doing multicultural, I'm going to be, you know, Spanish dominant language outreach, but the reality is that one of the fastest growing segments is U.S. born Hispanic, and so what are you going to do to include this group? You know, that's a huge opportunity to me.
And what's really big here is that it's changing so quickly, because what was very relevant, you said just last year, the novellas that ran high with that audience, you're changing up a year later. So I think that's also important to note as well, is that you have to be changing quickly with the trends, not necessarily recreating the wheel, but having a strategy that's really easily adaptable to what's happening in the marketplace. Absolutely. One thing that I noticed, one of my clients, as Crystal mentioned earlier, is AT&T. And AT&T, we focus a lot on their public relations efforts, really specifically for the African American community. And I will tell you that our audiences really take on what he just mentioned here, and if you add dollar signs to that, I'm sure you have a higher income here on this side as well, so you can also add dollar and incomes to that as well. And so as we think about how we are reaching this audience, a lot of things that we did in terms of media outreach, we did it with earned media, because what was happening a lot of times is that, you may see an ad, but it's not really relevant to me. And we've been able to do that through blogger and non-traditional means. If you look at most even news stations, I mean, and they have a blog. I mean, if you watch Fox 4 or local, check out our blog, check us out online. As a matter of fact, my mom was like, how do I get on this Twitter thing? My mom is almost 60, and she's like, how do I get on this Twitter thing? Because Fox 4 says I have to go to Twitter. I mean, she's been watching Clarice Tinsley since I was a kid, and so if Clarice says to go to Twitter, she wants to figure out how to do it. But So I say that to say, even as we're looking to reach mediums and tell the stories of companies, I'm not just calling Fox 4. I'm calling the Dallas South News blog, because they're going to get it up quicker. They're going to be able to run it longer. And if I have a change that's very immediate, they can make it happen. And that we noticed that change in our media report. We do a media coverage report. One campaign that we executed for Black History Month, the first year that we did the campaign, 50% or more of our coverage was from traditional print news outlets. A year later, that flip-flopped, and it was really like 70% of it was from non-traditional media outlets and online publications. That's huge. But you know what? You don't get that by just sending out a press release. Mm-hmm. That has to be done by developing relationships with people, because if you've met a blogger or know about bloggers, they don't want someone coming and saying, oh, try my product and write about it. No. They first of all want to write about it. I mean, they have to have that genuine love for it. And so it really takes someone with the savviness of Gustavo, myself, and Kevin to really kind of seek those out on your behalf, because they are oftentimes hidden and under the radar, because they are really being organic and true to what they want to do. And so I think thinking about how you're getting your information out and using opportunities for earned media, it's not going to come just by calling or having an editorial board meeting. Right. Please know that that's changed in terms of reaching these local audiences. The other thing that I would say is that in the African American community specifically, I still believe that the local newspapers still have a very big role, especially for the audience that Kevin mentioned, over the 40 and plus audience. Very relevant. They want to see that you are investing in their community. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you do that by investing in those local businesses. And so I think that's something to also think about as, you think about, we have these big campaigns that we do nationally. Well, are you reaching the local audiences at the very local level where they see that you're also investing back in their communities?
Right. Just to add to what Eliza is saying, last year I spoke to the executive team at Volkswagen North America about reaching the Black consumer, and that was one of the key things that I really hit home with them, was the fact that you can't just market to the Black consumer and just start out. There has to be a relationship there, because what makes the Black consumer different from any other group is the whole struggle, the civil rights struggle, and so there's this heightened sensitivity about, do you show me love? Do you show my community love? And so a lot of people have this filter. They're gonna see what level of investment has an entity made before you start trying to market to them. So it's all about, there's this basic tenet of love. Mm-hmm. It's rooted in love. Do you love us? And that's something that you just can't get on that platform and say, well, I want to sell you this car and blah, blah, blah. No. What have you done for us? Mm-hmm. Because it's a different sensitivity in terms of the history of the consumer group and the struggle to be treated equally. Yeah.